Bryan Charnley, a British artist, he had schizophrenia. One day, he decided to stop taking his medication, gradually reducing the dosage while capturing his inner turmoil through powerful self-portraits. In these haunting images, Charnley didn't just paint, he revealed the fragile layers of his mind, offering us an unflinching view into a world where reality crumbles away. Here, perception loses its anchor, and what remains is a fragmented way of experiencing life. This raw, unfiltered descent into his altered state of consciousness serves as both a window and a mirror to one of the most elusive parts of the human experience. In this video, we journey through the darkest parts of human mind, so sit back, relax, and tightly hold on to that subscribe button. Chapter 1. The Nature of Identity. Have you ever stopped to question who you really are beneath the surface? Not the name you carry or the roles you play, but the raw essence of your consciousness? Let's begin with Marcus, a painter. Every morning he would sit before his mirror, studying his reflection with the intensity of someone trying to solve a puzzle. But unlike most, he wasn't checking his appearance. He was searching for something deeper, something that existed beyond the physical realm. This search for self-understanding isn't unique to artists. It's a fundamental human experience, one that becomes more profound when we realize how fragile our sense of identity truly is. Consider how your consciousness shifts throughout the day, from the foggy state of early morning to the focused state of working to the dreamlike state before sleep. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating. Research by Dr. Anil Seth, 2021, revealed that our sense of self isn't a fixed entity, but rather a continuous construction by our brain. Think of it like a river, always present, yet never the same water twice. This aligns with the Stoic philosophy of Epictetus, who taught that our identity isn't in our physical form, but in our capacity to reason and observe.
But here's what makes this journey complex. We're both the observer and the observed. When you examine your thoughts, who exactly is doing the examining? This paradox reveals something profound about consciousness. It's not a singular state, but a spectrum of awareness, constantly shifting and adapting.
Modern psychology supports this view. Studies on meditation practitioners show that our sense of self can be temporarily dissolved, suggesting that what we consider our identity might be more fluid than we imagine. This fluidity, perhaps our greatest strength, allowing us to adapt and grow through life's various challenges. This is something Robert Greene kind of mentioned in his book. You're not a fixed self, you've different roles as you've different identities. I highly recommend you to watch that video after this one. Chapter 2. Dreams. What if I told you that every night you venture into the most sophisticated virtual reality ever created, one crafted entirely by your own mind? Research by Dr. Matthew Walker, 2023, shows that during REM sleep, the brain's visual and emotional centers become highly active while the logical prefrontal cortex largely shuts down. It's like watching a movie where the director is also the audience, yet neither knows the script. This brings us to an interesting paradox. In dreams, we create experiences that surprise us. How can we be surprised by something our own mind creates? The Stoic philosopher Seneca noted that dreams reveal the mind's inherent duality. We are simultaneously the creator and the experiencer. Dreams also expose the constructive nature of consciousness. When external input is cut off during sleep, the brain doesn't simply go dark. It builds entire realities from memory fragments and emotional states. Some neuroscientists suggest this might be what consciousness does all the time, even when we're awake, just with more constraints from sensory input.
But perhaps the most intriguing aspect is how dreams handle the concept of self. In dreams, we can be multiple characters simultaneously, or none at all. We can observe ourselves from outside our bodies, challenging our normal understanding of identity and perspective. This flexibility suggests that our usual sense of self might be more of a useful construction than an absolute truth.
Understanding dreams isn't just about understanding sleep, it's about understanding how consciousness creates reality itself. When we recognize that our waking experience might be more dreamlike than we realize, we gain a deeper appreciation for the mind's remarkable ability to construct meaning from chaos. Chapter 3. Perception. Have you ever wondered if what you see is really there, or if your mind is just telling you a convincing story?
Our perception isn't a window to reality. It's more like a painting constantly being revised. We think we see everything around us in perfect detail, but this is far from truth. Your mind fills in gaps, makes assumptions, and sometimes completely fabricates information without you knowing. Think about your peripheral vision right now. You feel like you can see clearly to the sides, but try focusing on those edges. They're mostly constructed by your brain based on predictions and past experiences. The mind is constantly gambling, betting on what should be there, rather than processing everything in detail.
Research in perceptual psychology reveals something unsettling. The brain receives about 11 million bits of information per second through our senses, but can only process about 50 bits consciously. This means 99.99% of reality is filtered out before it reaches your awareness. Our consciousness isn't passive. It's actively constructing reality. When you look at a tree, you don't see raw data of light and shadow. Your brain transforms this into branches, leaves, and depth. But this transformation process can be disrupted, revealing how fragile our perception really is. Take the phenomenon of change blindness. Major elements in your visual field can change without you noticing if the change happens during a brief interruption. Or consider how your brain edits out your nose from your vision, despite it being constantly in view. These aren't bugs in our perception. They're features showing how consciousness prioritizes useful information over complete accuracy. The Stoics understood this limitation of human perception. Epictetus reminded us that we're disturbed not by things themselves, but by our judgments about things. Modern neuroscience proves him right. What we experience as reality is largely shaped by our brain's interpretations. And this isn't just academic curiosity, it has profound implications. If our most basic experience of reality is constructed, what does this mean for our understanding of truth? Perhaps true wisdom lies not in trusting what we see, but in understanding how our mind shapes what we perceive. Chapter 4. What if you tickle it? What if I told you that everything you think is stable about your mind could dissolve in an instant? The psychedelic experience isn't just about seeing colors or patterns. It's about the fundamental dismantling of how your mind processes reality. When the usual filters of consciousness break down, what emerges isn't chaos, but a different kind of order. The default mode network, that constant background chatter in your brain that maintains your sense of self, can be temporarily silenced. When this happens, the boundaries between you and everything else start to blur. It's not that you lose your mind. Rather, you lose the illusion that your mind was ever separate from the world around it. Neuroscience has shown us something remarkable about this state. When psychedelics bind to serotonin receptors, particularly the 5-HT2A variety, they don't just add something to consciousness. They take away the constraints that usually shape our experience. The brain's hierarchical information processing breaks down, and suddenly every sensation has equal importance. This isn't just about altered states. It reveals something fundamental about consciousness itself. If our normal experience can be so radically reorganized by changing a few neural parameters, what does this say about the nature of awareness? The Stoics spoke of accepting nature as it is, but perhaps nature itself is more fluid than we imagine.
Nature is a big subject. You can watch my summary on Robert Greene's Human Nature. The series is ongoing. And might I suggest the 4 states mentioned in Hindu philosophy. Thanks for staying with us.
Research into psychedelic therapy has revealed that these experiences can lead to lasting changes in personality and perspective. But more importantly, they suggest that our ordinary state of consciousness might be just one of many possible configurations of awareness. The implications are profound. If consciousness is this malleable, then perhaps our normal way of experiencing reality isn't the only valid one. Maybe it's not even the most useful one for all situations. This doesn't mean altered states are beneficial, but it suggests that consciousness might be more like a tool than a fixed state. Have you ever noticed how time seems to disappear when you're completely absorbed in what you're doing? Flow isn't just focus. It's a complete reorganization of consciousness. When you enter this state, the constant self-reflection that usually fills your mind goes quiet. The voice that narrates your life, judges your actions, and worries about the future simply fades away. What's fascinating is what replaces it. Instead of the usual stream of thoughts, there's just pure action and awareness, merged into one seamless experience. It's not that you stop thinking. Rather, thinking and doing become the same thing. The gap between intention and action disappears. Modern neuroscience has revealed something unexpected about flow states. The brain actually becomes more efficient, using less energy while performing better. It's like your mind finally stops getting in its own way. The prefrontal cortex, usually busy with self-monitoring, becomes less active. You're not thinking less, you're thinking differently. This aligns perfectly with ancient Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the importance of focusing solely on the task at hand, letting go of concerns about past and future. What he described wasn't just concentration, it was a state where the self steps aside and lets natural ability take over.
Research into peak performance shows that flow isn't just about feeling good. It's about accessing a more efficient mode of consciousness. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists describe it as being one with their work, but they're all describing the same neural state where self-consciousness gives way to pure experience.
But here's what makes flow truly remarkable. It's a paradox of control. You're most in control when you stop trying to control everything. Think of it like breathing. You can breathe consciously, controlling each breath, but your breathing is most efficient when you're not thinking about it at all. This reveals something profound about the nature of consciousness. Perhaps our normal state isn't our most natural or effective way of being. Maybe true mastery in any domain isn't about adding more control, but about learning when to let go. Chapter 6. What is creativity? What if the line between genius and madness isn't a line at all, but a spectrum we all move along?
Creativity isn't just about making art. It's about seeing connections where others see chaos. The creative mind exists in a delicate balance, walking the edge between order and disorder, between what is and what could be.
The neuroscience of creativity reveals something unexpected. When creative insights occur, the brain shows patterns similar to psychotic states, but with one crucial difference. The creative mind can switch between chaos and order, between divergent and convergent thinking. It can dive into the sea of possibilities, but still find its way back to shore. This tightrope walk between chaos and control shows up in brain activity. The default mode network, usually suppressed during focused tasks, becomes more active during creative thinking, but in a controlled way. It's like the brain is dreaming while awake, but maintaining just enough awareness to capture the insights that emerge. What makes this balance so precarious is that the same mechanisms that enable creativity can, when pushed too far, lead to psychological fragmentation. The pattern finding that lets an artist see new connections can, in excess, create connections that aren't really there. The ability to question reality that drives innovation can, if unchecked, make reality itself seem uncertain. This isn't just theory. History shows us countless examples of brilliant minds who struggled with this balance. But what's really interesting isn't that some creative people develop mental illness, it's that creativity itself requires a kind of controlled instability. Modern research into creative cognition shows that the most innovative ideas often come when we allow our minds to operate at the edge of chaos. Not so ordered that we can only see what's already known, but not so chaotic that we lose touch with reality entirely. The Stoic perspective offers a crucial insight here: the importance of maintaining inner stability while exploring outer possibilities. True creativity isn't about losing control, it's about maintaining your center while venturing into uncharted territory.
Chapter 7: The Fragmented Mind.
What happens when the mind's delicate architecture begins to crack, when reality itself seems to slip through your fingers? The fragmentation of consciousness isn't just a theoretical concept, it's a lived experience for many. When the mind's ability to create a coherent reality breaks down, the world doesn't simply go dark. Instead, it fractures into pieces that no longer fit together. Think of consciousness like a mirror. Usually, it reflects a unified image of reality. But when it breaks, each fragment still reflects something real, just not in a way that makes sense as a whole. This is what happens in certain mental states, where the usual boundaries between self and world, between real and imagined, begin to dissolve. The brain's prediction machinery, usually so good at creating a stable version of reality, starts to falter. Ordinary coincidences become loaded with meaning. Random events seem deliberately orchestrated. The line between inner thoughts and outer reality blurs until they become indistinguishable. Recent neurological studies show something fascinating in these states. The brain doesn't stop making sense of things. Instead, it makes too much sense of everything. Every detail becomes significant. Every pattern seems meaningful until the sheer weight of meaning becomes overwhelming. But here's what makes this truly profound. This fragmentation reveals how much work our minds usually do to maintain the illusion of a unified consciousness. Our normal experience of reality isn't just given to us. It's actively constructed moment by moment. The Stoics understood something crucial about this. They knew that our experience of reality isn't just about what happens to us, but how our minds process and interpret events. In states of mental fragmentation, this processing mechanism itself becomes visible, like seeing the scaffolding behind reality's facade. This understanding doesn't just help us comprehend mental illness. It shows us something fundamental about consciousness itself. Our unified sense of reality isn't a given, it's an achievement, one that requires constant maintenance by our minds. Chapter 8: The Unity of Mind. Have you ever wondered what remains when the scattered pieces of your inner world finally come together? In this final chapter, we journey to the quiet center, where chaos and order converge, revealing the resilient core of your being. All along, we've explored the fragile nature of identity, the realm of dreams, the brilliance of flow, the delicate dance of creativity, and the painful reality of a fragmented mind. In each of these explorations, a single truth emerged. Our consciousness is not fixed, but a vibrant tapestry constantly woven from both light and shadow. Just as a river never carries the same water twice, our inner experiences flow and change, yet they are connected by an enduring current. The Stoic wisdom of Epictetus reminds us that our suffering is not born from external events, but from our judgments about them. Embracing this, we learn that true strength lies in understanding the impermanent nature of our thoughts and perceptions.
What if the mind and universe are reflections of the same structure, each influencing the other? The law of attraction may not be mere belief, but an uncharted principle of existence. While we lack definitive answers, the possibility urges us to rethink the connection between thought, reality, and the greater unknown. That's a topic for another chat.
As we end this video, I must appreciate you guys for what you do for this channel. Thanks for supporting. Each likes, each comments are lifeblood for this channel. Thanks for being a part of our community. Thanks for watching.